That's called the case of the people of the state of Michigan versus Peter Heenan.
Jack Moss, on behalf of Mr. Heenan. Here.
First of all, thank you, counsel. We had sent an email because I had actually issued the bench warrant based upon the previous history as well as. Have you received a copy of the report, sir?
Yes, I have, Your Honor.
All right. All right. So, Mr. Heenan, guys, what's going on?
So, Your Honor is obviously aware of the alleged bond violation. We would, first thing, there is a preliminary examination for the underlying charge, I believe, scheduled for the 31st.
For this case?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That being
that's another probable cause we set.
That's a
I don't have a prelim set up to set up because we were just trying to.
Got it. That makes sense. With that existing court date in mind, Your Honor, what we would like to do today is request a hearing on the bond violation, and I'd ask that Mr. Heenan's bond be continued.
I don't have any problem with the hearing. Is there anything from the people? Go.
I think his bond needs to be revoked at this time. I think we have had multiple violations. We've tried a softer touch and it's not been successful. I'm concerned at this point.
If I may, Your Honor, I would like to apprise the court of what Mr. Heenan has informed me of. He has enrolled in a sober living facility, a sober living program. As a part of that program, there is a therapeutic assistant that would come into Mr. Heenan's home and be with him, monitoring him 24/7. Mr. Heenan enrolled in those services yesterday. He could give you the details, but I will say I know he spent a great expense to enroll in the program, Your Honor.
I have to say that I'm still concerned about that. I think at this point, one of the things that I'm seeing is that Mr. Heenan doesn't have much of a support system. I remember that we have talked previously about potentially doing an inpatient program where he would be inpatient somewhere where other people who have addictions are also inpatient, building a network of support there, then moving to transitional housing outside of his home where he would have an additional support network there, and then continuing with the larger support network, gradually reintegrating back. At this point, I don't see that he would have any training wheels or safeguards, because what you have is someone coming into his space. That's not expanding a support network. That is equipping him for a finite amount of time until this assistant is no longer going to be able to watch over him for 24 hours, and then they cut and run. And he still has not established any type of larger support network to facilitate long-term sobriety. I don't think that that is sufficient. I understand that it's a great expense, but it doesn't to me seem to be anything more than a band-aid for a situation that really needs to be addressed at the root cause, which is the addiction with the lack of support system. I think that's why we were originally talking about potentially a dual diagnosis program or an inpatient treatment with moving towards transitional housing.
Mr. Heenan,
Yes, sir.
you were out on the west side of the state in treatment, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you complete that program?
I did.
Okay, so once you completed the program, there would have been some type of aftercare or next step to that.
Correct. So I set up a therapist weekly. I set up a therapist weekly. Her first opening was on the 26th. I also
6th of this month.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I called the University of Michigan Addiction Treatment Program and asked to be enrolled in the early recovery group. I also know with the sober companion, it is required to go to AA each evening. So there is fellowship, like a home group.
Right, but I guess what I'm getting at is this. It was, what was it, Sanford House or something like that?
Yes, sir.
You finish that program, then they tell you to do certain things, right? Did you follow all of that?
You would be shocked at how little aftercare planning there was. A lot of it was done on my own.
Okay. So you don't meet with anyone. So right now is, when did you get out of
Last Wednesday.
the 16th?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then there's no therapy, no anything until the 26th.
That was her first opening.
No, that's fine. But so here's the problem, and I'm not making any necessarily any presumption about where the hearing's going to go on this or what finding I'd make. You have between the 17th when you get out or the 16th. And even as we sit here today, there's nothing in place to hold you up and to help you maintain your spread. Right?
With respect, this would start today.
What would start today?
The sober living coach.
Okay.
There's also I tried. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm listening.
Correct. Except for AA. And I took the easier path. I did Zoom.
Pardon?
I took the easier path. I did AA.
Why'd you do that?
Because it was easier. It was an easy way out.
Yeah.
So I could check the box, but not in person is where I benefit.
If you know that, Mr. Heenan, why'd you do it that way?
It's hard sometimes walking in a room for strangers, and as an introvert, sometimes I have a hard time sharing. And like I said, I just took the easier way out.
Mr. Heenan, you remember what I said to you before? And that is, I didn't want to lose you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Remember that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And part of my worry, well, it's a big part, it's a big thing here. And again, I'm not making a presumption about these particular violations, but I can't, as to what to do with you right now, I can't ignore this, right? And that is that you get out of the program on the 16th, you finish your program on the 16th. Irrespective of whose fault it may be, there's nothing for you when you get out, right? I mean, you're just kind of there. By the 17th, I've got tampers on your tether. And I've got the allegation of drinking, as well as tampers on your tether. Okay. Now, I'm not saying again that I would find that indeed happened, but that timing I can't ignore. Especially knowing kind of even while you've been with me in this court where you've been. Because we almost lost you a couple of times. Right? And the last time, I think one of your attorneys, they were going to your house to try. I mean, we're trying to get you we've got to get you to a certain point. Not sure where that point is. I'm not sure how much effort everybody's got to put into it, but we got to try to get you there. And I'm sitting here on the 24th. Mr. Heenan, I don't know that you'll make it a day.
What if I could get in a sober home?
Mr. Heenan, remember we go around and around about this because a lot of times what you want to do is you want to lay out your own plan. That's an easier plan. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I do. Sorry.
Go ahead. He can. What do you want to tell me, Mr.?
Treatment and sober homes are awful for me. They're humiliating. Jail is the hardest. But I know I need it. I know I need one of the options to save my life. So it's not like I'm seeking an easier path. It's more, I know it can save my life outside of going back to jail.
Oh, I have on 20.
Sorry. I didn't hear you.
I'm on the 29th. I'm on exams 29th.
Yes.
They both point at me. All right. When do we want to do this hearing? I'm going to try to shoot for the 31st. I would do it on the 29th. I have exams on the 29th. However, I am, as my staff has informed me, I have them actually lined up and I have 12 on that date.
I actually am gonna be at the 15th District Court because I have to continue an exam in front of Judge Bell on the 29th, so I'm not available.
No, you're not available on that date. All right. Then it would have to be the 31st. I'll set it for a hearing on his bond violations. Well as our probable cause conference is set for that date in any event. But now everything will be set, council, at 3 p.m.
Okay.
for the hearing on that day. Okay, Mr. Heenan,
Yes, Your Honor.
I made you a promise. Right?
Yes.
Sometimes, because I don't like sending people to jail, particularly. I don't like locking people up, but I'm going to keep my word. Because here's the thing. If I let you walk out of here, and there is going to come a point where I don't know that we get you back. That's the reality for me.
May I speak? Sorry.
Go ahead.
What if I return to Sanford?
I'm going to be honest with you, Mr. Heenan. And you said it yourself. You actually gave us the warning. We just have to, I think, probably listen better. When you pick your own direction, you're taking the easy way.
Or anywhere?
When you pick your direction, you're taking the easy route. And you know it. And that's okay, because you told us all that. I mean, it's not like you were hiding it. And you even just told us today. If it's hard, you don't do it. I'm not saying this any different than anybody else. Sometimes we just don't do the hard stuff. So I'm not being critical of that. But what I'm saying is, here's what I know. When you get to choose, it's not going to be successful. And it's going to be up to, quite frankly, all of us to try to figure out what we can do for you and with you to get you through this. That's the grand reality. But if you think I'm going to let you leave here and die on my watch when I have the power to make sure that doesn't happen, not going to happen. And in part, it's not going to happen. I don't want to be mean to you. I'm not trying to be mean to you. But when you were here before, I made that promise to you. And so no matter how hard it is for me to do it, I'm going to keep my word. So at this time, we'll see everybody on the 31st. But at this time, defendant's bond is revoked. We'll have the hearing on the 31st.
Great. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay. I have one more at 3 o'clock.